Versatile Mage. Chapter 6. Natural Dual Element 2. Within the empty spiritual world was a little bit of light. Mo Fan carefully tried to focus his awareness on it. Suddenly, he noticed a tiny bit of stardust emerging from the void. Mo Fan felt a burst of excitement. This stardust was extremely important to mages. It measured the mage's cultivation. The stardust existed within the spiritual world of mages, and the more that occupied the void, the stronger the power of the mage. Mo Fan already saw something illuminated within the stardust. It looked like a small, purple-colored star cluster. Comparing it to the rest of the spiritual world, the cluster did not look like dust. At the same time, this meant that his awakening had not failed. The book clearly stated that as long as there was a star cluster within the spiritual world, no matter how weak and feeble it was, it meant that the awakening was successful. Ha 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 ha. Who said that I, this father, would fail the awakening? Didn't I succeed? I really want to see the aghast faces of Zhao Kunsen and Mu Bai. Hold on, what's the color of the star cluster? It's not red. How unfortunate. I didn't awaken the fire element. Red represents the fire element. Green represents the wind element. Brown represents the earth element. Blue represents the water element. Gold represents the light element. Purple represents... Holy crap. Suddenly, Mo Fan was completely flabbergasted. Purple. He actually had the purple star cluster. The purple color. Heavens. Someone in the class next to us awakened the lightning element. On the training ground, a student suddenly cried out in surprise. What? Lightning element appeared. Damn. That's a whole lifetime's worth of luck. Where? Whoa. What a dazzling and ruthless purple. The homeroom teacher of class 7 must have been quite surprised. Ugh. Kill me already. Why am I water element? Why didn't I get the lightning element? Don't stop me. I'm going to the roof. Don't bother jumping. You won't die. Beneath it lies the corpse of a light element user. This lightning element student will cause an uproar throughout the entire school. After the lightning element appeared, everyone felt a shocking sensation. If one said the fire element was the first choice of all the common mages, then the lightning element was the beautiful grace bestowed from the heavens. The lightning power was more tyrannical than the fire element. It allowed primary rank magicians to possess combat prowess that exceeded others. According to statistics from the teachers, there was a 50% chance for students who awakened the lightning element to become intermediate-level magicians, unless they slacked off and did not study properly. The Magic Middle School exam basically eliminated roughly 60% of the students. The remaining 40% became students who were allowed to go through the awakening. Among the students who went through the awakening, there might be around 60% who were eliminated. This was because during their 3 years at the Magic High, there was a chance that they would not be able to release any magic at all. There's 1,500 students in school, but only one student who awakened the lightning element. This went to show how rare the lightning element was. In that moment, all the teachers and students' eyes flew toward the boy in class 7. This boy, coincidentally, wore purple clothes. This made the indistinct purple lightning arc from the awakening seem increasingly dazzling. In that moment, this seemingly confident, yet cold, boy became the focal point for 1,000 people as he gave rise to a boiling excitement from the crowd. Whoa! Why is it so noisy? Mo Fan slowly opened his eyes, his face filled with joy. However, as Mo Fan opened his eyes, he discovered the teacher who was watching over him was completely enchanted with the class next to them. Mo Fan turned his head around and saw the students behind him also looking at the class next to them. What's going on? Where are you guys looking? Soon enough, Mo Fan finally found out what was happening. Apparently, a person in the class next to his had awakened the lightning element. In the instant of Mo Fan's awakening, the teachers' and students' gazes were directed toward the lad who awakened just before him. Mo Fan's face was filled with bitterness as he looked at the awakening stone, which was also leaping with a purple lightning arc. He really wished he could just slap the homeroom teacher across the face and tell him, Why are you envying the guy in the class next to ours? Look at me. I also possess the almighty lightning element. As Mo Fan was about to speak, a starry radiance suddenly lit up again on the awakening stone. It was as though blood vessels began forming on Mo Fan's hands. Mo Fan's face filled with surprise. Wasn't the awakening over? Why was this awakening stone starting up again? Mo Fan wanted to retract his arm, but the magic power had already been transmitted into his body from his palm. Fiery hot. A fiery hot power. Mo Fan himself had no idea what was happening. However, a small part of the power urged him to once again spread his awareness into his spiritual world and perceive the second power's invasion. Within the empty spiritual world, the purple star cluster remained in the same area, sparkling with a faint radiance. Seeing this made people eager to see it dazzle and bloom more brightly. This was the star cluster of the lightning element, the power he had awakened only moments ago. The other power from the awakening charged in like the lightning element. Within Mo Fan's spiritual world was a blazing arc streaking across like a burning meteor, causing Mo Fan to tremble. This is. Within his spiritual world emerged a red star cluster. Mo Fan was at a loss in the beginning, but he soon felt an excessive joy. Fire element. He had also awakened a fire element. Unexpectedly, he had dual elements. He had actually awakened dual elements. One had to understand that among the primary ranked magicians, students could only awaken a single element. Someone who could awaken dual elements was practically non-existent. The probability of it was 1,000,000 times lower than awakening the lightning element. Heavens! Mo Fan felt like he was suddenly knocked unconscious with happiness. The appearance of the lightning element had made him go wild with joy. With the fire element emerging, and becoming a natural dual element user, he felt like he was about to cry from such intense joy. After acquiring the knowledge surrounding magic, Mo Fan was very clear on the fact that having an additional element signified that he'd be one step ahead of others, despite the fact that the cultivation of the elements would need to be independent of each other. It was like an online game. The people on the server were only allowed to create one account and bitterly battled against monsters to level up. Whereas he himself could create 2 accounts. The most important factor to this was that he could combine the 2 accounts and have it on a single character, so his combat prowess would be more than 1 + 1 = 2. This is too good. I have a natural dual element. One that was the heaven-shattering lightning element, while the other was the ferocious fire element. Who could stop me at this point? The guilt over his father selling his house and being humiliated was cleansed in that moment. Mo Fan was very clear on the fact that if he put great effort into cultivating the 2 elements, then he would become a magician who would stand above the others at the same level. Who cared about the Mu family with 100 years of heritage? Who cared about the ice element family? Is that as amazing as the dual element that your father, I, am in possession of? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Chapter end. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.